How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to be talking about IFAKs, or specifically the IFAK that I run. All the contents inside it, how do I set it up, where do I set it up for my active duty plate carrier kit. Now the kind of funny thing is with this is after I kind of molded this and created it, I copied this kit within any other realm. In essence, if I am hiking, I have the same exact kit on here, or my bug out bag. It is the same kit. It's set up the same way to deal with the same issues that you may have, including other rigs, like a split rig like this. Yes, it is a different pouch, but it has the same items inside of it. So we're just gonna go through that. I'm gonna dive into the details of this entire kit, how it's set up, why it's set up, and what's inside of it. So let's dive into that. All right, for ease of explaining, I am going to take this IFAK off the plate carrier for all of you, so we're not dealing with, there we go, with all of it in the shot. If you want a dedicated video on my plate carrier, I have one, you can go take a look at it, but diving in honestly to the IFAK. Now there's a lot of methods just by looking at this. Most people wouldn't think that there's like time and placement put into where it's located, but there is. So for me, I wanted something, at least for my IFAK, to go in a location that is easily accessible with both hands, and then also it's not in the way of things. That's why it's lower on the plate carrier, in that space right below the placard. The placard will sit here. Typically this space isn't used for anything else. Now, some people like dedicated right side or dedicated left side. In my opinion, that limits you, especially if you have hand mobility issues, as in, hey, if you lose your left hand, but it's on your left-hand side, you have to reach across your body and get things. So I typically like a centralized IFAK. Now, I know there's other methods out there. I'm not saying this is perfect. This is just what I use and gravitate towards. First off, in care under fire, right? The primary thing is stop bleeding. So of course, tourniquet use. That's why this tourniquet is immediately on the bottom and accessible. I like how they do the elastic here. One thing that I don't kind of like is I have to rotate tourniquets probably about every year or so, just because the UV light really damages cat tourniquets. Now you could use a soft T like what I have over here, soft T wides, which are aluminum. It's just I prefer cats because most of my coworkers, actually all of my coworkers, are trained on the cat. They all know how to use it. So if they look at it, it's good to go. So I typically swap these tourniquets out going to some other method. But it's nice because it's down here. It is both hand accessible, meaning the left side hand, right, can pull this thing out from the left side of me, and the right hand, right? Granted, I'm not pulling out the right side, but I just go out the left as well. So it's fairly centralized. I carry 4 tourniquets on me, 1 down at my ankle, 1 on the right side of my carrier, 1 here, and then 1 up on my left shoulder. That's just because 4 limbs, 4 tourniquets, and then also, hey, if someone else doesn't have one or I can't find one, I'm gonna pull one of my extras off to give to them. I know you're not supposed to do that, but that's why you plus up on tourniquets, right? That's why I have so many. So cool, that's tourniquet use. Now the pouch itself, like I was talking about, Velcro, so it's easily labeled as, hey, that's cross. Clearly my coworkers know this is where my IFAK is located, so it's easy to get to. Now, zipper wise, the zipper placement is very key as well, right? Now, it doesn't look like it is, but to me, it's very essential. Some people don't like zippers, that's fine, do whatever you want, but if you have a zipper, a lot of people I see will run the zippers in the center, which I do not like this. I'm gonna set it up as such. I do not like this because one-handed, if one of your hands is out, you need to access this tourniquet. So what do I have to do? I have to do 2 motions to get this thing open. Now I gotta do this, right, as in pull open, and then this. I don't like that. That's why I run my zippers all the way to the left side so I have 1 motion, as in here, right, and then I just open it all the way up. Now how this thing is packed out, as you see, it's fairly easy. Even if it's open, things aren't gonna fall out of it, right? Because it's a vertical dangler, it's gonna be like this. So you can reasonably run around, not heavily with it open, I wouldn't recommend that, but stuff is still gonna be fairly contained in there how it's set up. Now, that's pretty much the exterior of it, right? Here's the backside, very slick, but for the most part. Now, let's dive in interiorly, I can't even say that word properly, but we're gonna kind of try to open this up, right? There's a Sharpie that just came out, right? Goes to the back. Now, I have this kind of layered in a way, as in the things that I need the least are in the very far back for the most part, and then moving forward is other things. Now, in the very front, right up here, I have sets of gloves. Now, if you can, right, someone else is probably gonna put these on, whatever. These gloves, if they pop out and fall on the ground, nobody uses them, so be it. I mean, it just is what it is, but I can also use this too. That's why I have two in here, because if I go up on someone else, I'm not gonna be pulling items from my IFAK, but I can pull definitely gloves from it, right? So I can use this, put them on, zip this thing back up, and go and do whatever I need to. So initially, right, typically wound packing is that initial thing that I would go to for blood loss, which right on top is quick clot, right? So in that essence is, hey, I can tear that open and then it's Z folded, so then you can start, you know, doing your packing into those wounds, right? At least for myself, if I'm working on myself, right? Or someone else is, right? Someone else is coming up to me, they've opened up this IFAK, as soon as they look into it, right up here, quick clot. Cool, I'm gonna start wound packing. Right now, of course, if you have a chest wound or something like that, we'll get into that as we further get back, which you can access that. But gauze is immediately up front, right? Two different ones. Now, of course, here is a couple Band-Aids, and this is very controversial. All the way at the front, next to the gloves, I have Band-Aids. Now, people say, why do you put Band-Aids in there? But realistically, people most of the time do not need trauma-based stuff, and they raid trauma kits for Band-Aids all the time. So I keep mine all the way up in the front. I know where it is. So hey, I need a Band-Aid, cool, it's all the way up in the front, unzip this, pull it out. I'm not messing up anything inside. You would be surprised how many times people need Band-Aids and people will raid these and like, oh, I'm gonna use gauze to wrap my finger. I'm like, no, use a Band-Aid, right? Or something else. All right, moving off that soapbox in my opinion. Now up front here, I have two Israeli bandages, right? So I got a full size. Of course, these ones are kind of fairly old as you see, but hey, the seals are still good. I did a dedicated video on this, right? As long as, because they're sealed twice, as long as they're good, you don't really have to worry about it. Now there's a larger one, the 6-inch, and then also I have a 4-inch right here as well. So depends, if you have multiple different wounds, right? 2 compression bandages that can help you out right in that realm. All right, moving down next is nasal pharyngeal airway, right? Opening up that airway, getting some air and oxygen to those lungs, especially if you have trauma or anything swelling. This just assists that air getting down to where it needs to, air, you know, in general. Next, all right, so we're moving down. Trauma scissors, right? Everyone says, oh, you're not a medic, you don't need trauma shears and stuff like that. Actually, you don't need to be a designated medic, right? If you go in here, hey, you have to cut away, at least when we're going from tactical field care, from, you know, the combat casualty care kind of aspect, or care under fire, and then tactical field care. Once we're in the tactical field care realm, yes, we are going to be opening up clothing and looking in, right? This just gives another option for someone else. If, hey, if they come up, they need to see when they're doing blood sweeps, hey, I want to find out where all this stuff is going. I need to treat this. We're done treating over top the wounds. So trauma shears are actually a really good thing to have in there. Moving down from that, now we're starting to get in, hey, we have a Sharpie, which of course is for your tourniquet later on, right? And then your TCCC card, other stuff like that we'll get to. Cool, I have 2 decompression needles. Yes, I am certified to use these. I know how to utilize these on folks. And it's funny, the statistics-wise of speaking, how many people actually die due to tension pneumothorax or anything like that. So I carry 2 because, right, if the first one doesn't work, you go to the other location, right? Higher on the chest, intercostal space, and then you can also go on the side. So top, then bottom, or bottom top, however you want to run it. But I have 2 in case the first one fails, right? Other people have others. All right, next I have a hyphen vent chest seal, right? I have a entry and exit, which is really nice, right? Here it is for that kind of purpose, to eliminate that so you don't get into the tension pneumothorax realm in that essence. So if you can seal it off fairly good, right? It is vented, so you don't have to technically burp it, or burp that wound, but you still can. It just depends on how it goes. Next is your combat or TCCC card. Now this isn't my real card. My actual card is filled out with my information up here at the top. I just put a blank one in here for all of you guys to kind of see and understand, hey, but I highly recommend, hey, you opening or you filling this thing out for you, because this will be used for yourself. Now, moving into the back here, one other thing that is not really combat related, but this is a Cana Provisions water decon kit along with a water bag. So for some purpose, not to the medical side of things, but for the emergency side of things, this is a very small cylindrical kit that will fit in there for water purification, mainly because honestly, if this isn't going to kill you, if you don't have to use this, if you are separated from water or your team to get good water, that is probably your next issue in general of things that can kill you. It is bad water. So this is an awesome kit to just slide behind there. But realistically, if you guys really look at this, there's not a lot going on in here. And that's okay. Mainly it's meant for IFAK. Now we're not talking about trauma kits or your, the tactical field cares after someone shows up with like a massive bag filled with other things. This is meant just to patch up the individual needs that you have, and that's about it, just to get you off to the next level for, tactical evaluation or evacuation and the kind of stuff like that. So my kit, fairly simple. I guarantee there's gonna be people in the comments, well, why don't you add this? Why don't you take out that? Why don't you do this? And valid point. It's just, this is what we as a team in general, we've discussed with my coworkers and other stuff like that, works very well for what we do. And it's just again, it works. Now, some of these things, of course, over time will get swapped out. Mainly the first things to go bad, in my opinion, are vents or chest seals, just because of the sticky compound, they tend to dry up and stuff like that. Pharyngeal airway is probably your next thing that's gonna go bad. After that, it might be quick clot just because of the packaging. And honestly, this stuff is just almost indefinite. As long as you don't puncture it, the bandages, you're set. The needles, needle Ds, you're fine on that. And gloves, they can get dry rot over time, but we're talking, hey, whatnot. So I recommend inspecting this about once a year or twice a year just to make sure everything's still good to go. But that's my IFAK. Granted, I carry other supplementary items on me. Not gonna go in that today, but this is the initial IFAK that I use. It is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This is not meant to be copied, but just as a reference is, hey, this is what I use. Maybe you can get some ideas from it, or ideas not to do something, or ideas to do something. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something, and I hope y'all have a great day.